When we think about living healthier, for longer, our minds often jump to the latest tech, maybe some new fitness craze.
Right, the cutting edge.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But sometimes the really promising answers aren't flashy at all. They're things our bodies have been using all along.
That's a really key point. We often chase what's new, but, understanding and maybe optimizing the fundamentals of our own biology can be incredibly powerful.
And that's perfect because it brings us right to today's deep dive. It's a topic loads of listeners have asked about.
Yeah.
Taurine.
Yes, Taurine.
We got some great material sent in, including that big 2023 science paper. So we've tried to boil it all down, get to the core of what's going on with this molecule and its link to healthy aging.
Yeah, our goal today is really to explore why there's this renewed buzz around taurine in the longevity research world. It's quite fascinating.
So, okay, let's kick things off with the basics for anyone maybe not familiar. What is taurine exactly? Sounds a bit, well, technical.
Well, it is technically an amino sulfonic acid, but think of it this way. It's everywhere in your body. Muscles, brain, blood.
Okay.
But here's the key difference. Unlike the amino acids that, build proteins, taurine has a totally different set of jobs. Vital jobs, though.
Right. So not a building block, more like
Yeah,
a crucial support worker.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's involved in keeping the outer membranes of your cells stable. It's a pretty potent antioxidant, too, helping fight off damage.
Antioxidant.
And it's critical for managing calcium signaling, which is, essential for everything from muscle work to nerve signals.
Wow.
Plus, it supports your mitochondria, the cell's power plants, and even helps out with digestion, with bile acids. It's got its fingers in a lot of pies.
A very dizzy molecule then. And where do we actually get it from? Is it mainly diet?
Yeah, primarily diet. It's most abundant in animal foods, meat, seafood, and interestingly, organ meats like liver and heart are like super concentrated sources.
Organ meats, right? Not always top of everyone's shopping list, maybe.
Probably not. And while our bodies can make some taurine, that production isn't always enough, and it tends to drop off as we get older.
Ah, okay. That decline with age is interesting. Does that happen across the board?
It seems so. And that natural decline, which we see across different species, really makes you start to wonder, doesn't it? Could boosting levels help counteract some age-related stuff? We'll definitely get into that.
Perfect segue, because
Yeah.
that brings us right to that 2023 science study. That's the one generating a lot of this excitement, right? What were the takeaways?
What's really striking about that study is just how comprehensive it was. They measured taurine levels in, well, all sorts of creatures, humans, mice, monkeys, even worms.
Worms, too, okay.
Yeah, and they found this incredibly consistent pattern. Taurine levels drop significantly with age across all these species.
That consistency is pretty compelling, isn't it? It's not just random.
Exactly. It strongly suggests there's some kind of evolutionarily conserved role here. Like, taurine is fundamental for maintaining youthfulness, biologically speaking. It's probably not a coincidence.
So that drop is one thing. But the study didn't stop there, did it? They looked at what happens if you give animals extra taurine.
They did, and the results were pretty eye-opening. In mice, giving them taurine supplements led to a lifespan increase of about 10 to 12%.
10 to 12%. That's significant in lifespan terms.
It really is. And in monkeys, they didn't track full lifespan. It takes too long. But they saw improvements in health span markers. Things like better bone density, more muscle strength. Healthier aging, essentially.
Well span, right. Living better, not just longer.
Yes.
And the worms.
Even more dramatic there. Depending on the dose, their lifespan jumped by 10 to 23%.
Wow. Okay, those animal results are hard to ignore. It makes it sound like taurine is acting almost like a general upkeep molecule for youthfulness in these animals.
That's not a bad analogy, a kind of molecular support system. But of course, we always have to be cautious translating directly from animals to us, right?
Absolutely. Always the caveat.
But
the science paper did include some human data too, didn't it?
yes, it did. From the UK Biobank, which is a huge database.
Okay, what did that show?
So this was observational. They looked at people's existing health records and their natural taurine levels, and they found correlations. People with higher taurine levels tended to have lower rates of obesity, less risk of type 2 diabetes, and generally fewer age-related diseases reported.
Okay. But crucially, that's a correlation, not causation.
Right.
People with higher taurine might just eat healthier overall or exercise more or something else.
Precisely. It's an association. It doesn't prove taurine caused better health, but it's another really suggestive piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
It definitely is. Adds weight to the animal findings. So you've got this molecule, levels drop with age across species. Supplementing it helps animals live longer and healthier.
Wow.
It makes you ask how. What's it actually doing?
Exactly. What are the mechanisms? How does taurine exert these effects? That's the million-dollar question.
It seems like it's not just one single thing, but it's influencing several different aspects of the aging process.
Spot on. It looks like taurine interacts with multiple, what researchers call the hallmarks of aging. These are the key biological processes known to drive aging.
Hallmarks of aging, okay.
Yeah, things like mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, senescent cells. Taurine seems to touch on many of them, which suggests it's not like a magic bullet hitting one target, but more like a systems level regulator, improving overall cellular resilience.
Okay, let's break some of those down. You mentioned mitochondria, the cell's power plants. How does taurine help there?
Well, as we age, our mitochondrial function tends to become less efficient. We
Yes.
produce energy less effectively. Taurine seems to help support and maintain healthier mitochondrial function, basically helping cells get the energy they need.
Makes sense. Energy is fundamental. What else? Inflammation.
Yes, inflammation is a big one. That sort of chronic, low-level inflammation that simmers away as we age is linked to so many diseases. Taurine shows anti-inflammatory effects. It helps kind of calm things down at a cellular level.
Like a cellular fire extinguisher, maybe?
Something like that. Then there's cellular senescence. These are the sort of zombie cells, old, dysfunctional cells that don't die but hang around releasing harmful stuff.
Right, I've heard about those. Nasty stuff.
Yeah. And taurine seems to help the body manage these senescent cells better, maybe helping clear them out or preventing them accumulating as much, leading to healthier tissues overall.
Interesting. So better energy, less inflammation, clearing out cellular junk. What about telomeres? I think I read something about that.
Yes, that came up in the animal studies too. In mice, taurine supplementation was linked with preventing telomeres from shortening as quickly. Telomeres are those protective caps on our chromosomes, and they tend to shorten as cells age.
Okay, but that's in rice. Has that been shown in humans yet?
That's the key point, not definitively proven in humans yet. It's promising from the animal work, but we need more human data on the telomere aspect specifically.
Understood. So mitochondria, inflammation, senescence, potentially telomeres.
Yeah.
Any other major roles in how it might slow aging?
There's also evidence suggesting it influences DNA repair processes, supports autophagy, that's the cell's recycling system, and might even help stem cell function, particularly in muscle and bone. It really seems to have this broad protective effect.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That maybe this natural drop in our own taurine production as we age isn't just a consequence of aging, but could actually be contributing to it,
Yeah.
making us more vulnerable to things like frailty, metabolic issues, maybe even neurodegeneration.
That's a major hypothesis driving the research now. It's very compelling. The idea that maybe, just maybe, maintaining youthful taurine levels could actively counteract some of these age-related declines.
Which naturally leads us to the practical side.
Yeah.
For people listening, thinking about this, how much taurine are we talking about? What did that science study use in human terms?
Right. So the dose they used in the main animal studies, if you translate it to a, say, 70-kilogram person, works out to about 1,000 milligrams, or 1 gram per day.
1 gram a day.
Okay.
Yeah. And have human studies looked at safety at different doses?
Yes, quite a few. Generally, taurine seems very safe. Human studies have used up to 3,000 milligrams, or 3 grams per day, for months on end without significant issues.
3 grams. Okay. And how does that compare to what most people get from their diet?
A typical Western diet, assuming it includes some meat and fish, probably provides somewhere between, say, 100 and 400 milligrams a day.
So potentially quite a bit lower than the doses used in studies showing benefits.
Exactly. And as we mentioned, for vegetarians or vegans, the intake from diet is much, much lower because plants contain very little taurine. That's a really important consideration for them.
Right. So if someone's maybe over 40, perhaps doesn't eat much meat, and is interested in this whole healthy aging angle based on the research,
Right.
what kind of supplemental dose might be reasonable to consider?
Based on the current evidence of the animal effects, the human safety data, a range of maybe 1 to 3 grams per day seems like a sensible area to consider. That's 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams.
1 to 3 grams a day.
Yeah. That bracket kind of covers the effective doses seen in animals and stays well within the amounts shown to be safe in humans. But of course, it's always best practice to chat with your doctor before starting any new supplement.
Always good advice. And timing. Does it matter if you take it with food or on an empty stomach?
There's some suggestion it might absorb slightly better on an empty stomach, but honestly, it's still absorbed pretty well with food. The key thing is probably just consistency. Taking it regularly is likely more important than hitting the perfect timing each day.
Okay, makes sense. Now, shifting gears just a little, beyond general aging, there's quite a buzz about taurine and brain health specifically. What's the story there?
Yeah, this is another really exciting area. Taurine can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's important because it means it can get into the brain and act directly on brain cells.
Okay, so it gets access. What does it do once it's there?
It seems to do a few helpful things. It can help calm neurotransmission, partly by interacting with GABA receptors. GABA is like the brain's main calming chemical, so it promotes a more balanced state.
Ah, interesting. Like taking the edge off overexcitation.
Kind of, yeah. It also seems to protect against something called glutamate toxicity. That's when brain cells get overstimulated by glutamate, which can cause damage. And it helps regulate calcium levels inside neurons, which is absolutely vital for proper nerve signaling.
So given all that, regulating brain activity, protecting cells, there's speculation it might help protect against cognitive decline as we age.
That's the hope, definitely. And some early animal studies point in that direction. And it's an important but, we really need more large-scale human trials to confirm if taurine can genuinely prevent or slow down cognitive decline. The potential is there, based on the mechanisms, but the proof in humans isn't solid yet.
Understood. Potential, but needs more rigorous study. Still, you can see why the biohacking and longevity crowds have picked up on it, can't you?
Absolutely. It's relatively safe, it's inexpensive, and the science, while still developing on the human front, is intriguing for both lifespan and potentially brain span. It fits that profile of a low-risk, potentially high-reward intervention people are looking for.
Which loops us back nicely to safety. We've said it's generally safe, but are there any specific cautions or potential downsides people should know about?
For most people, it really does seem very well tolerated. It's natural to the body, doesn't really build up to toxic levels. The main thing to be aware of is for people already taking blood pressure medication.
Oh, why is that?
Because higher doses of taurine might have a mild blood pressure lowering effect itself. So if you're already on meds for that, there could be an additive effect, maybe lowering it too much. It's just something to discuss with your doctor if that applies to you.
Good point. Check with the doc, especially if you're on blood pressure meds. What about the quality of the supplement itself? Any difference between brands?
Like with any supplement, quality really matters. You want to make sure you're getting what the label says and that it's pure. So looking for pharmaceutical-grade taurine from reputable brands that follow good manufacturing practices, or GMP, is generally a good idea.
Right. Look for quality sourcing. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If we were to summarize this deep dive on taurine, it sounds like we have this really interesting, naturally occurring molecule.
Definitely.
It seems pretty safe, it's not expensive, and the research suggests it might support healthy aging by hitting multiple different pathways, these hallmarks of aging.
Exactly. We've got compelling animal data on lifespan and health span, and we have that intriguing observational human data linking higher levels to better health outcomes.
So while it's clearly not some kind of magical anti-aging pill,
Yeah, we're definitely not.
the evidence suggests that keeping your taurine levels up, maybe through diet or careful supplementation, could be a worthwhile part of an overall strategy for aging well.
I think that's a fair summary. It looks like a valuable piece of the puzzle. And the consistency across different types of studies, biochemical, animal, observational, human, does add confidence.
But as always in science, the call is for more research, isn't it? Especially those big, long-term human trials.
That's the crucial next step. We need those rigorous human studies to really nail down the benefits and long-term effects of supplementation for aging and age-related conditions.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Thinking about this relatively simple, readily available compound potentially playing such a fundamental role in how long and how well we live. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, what other unsung allies like taurine might be hiding in plain sight within our own biology? Molecules we already have that maybe we just need to understand better or support more effectively as we age. It's certainly food for thought and worth keeping an eye on the research in this space.
A great point to end on. There's likely much more to discover about optimizing what we already have.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.